Look at me, mister! Look at me!
Is there something wrong with me?
Okay, so I know I said I wasn't going to make this channel focused on The Sims, but then I see Satch upload a video on this, so now I need to put my 2 cents in. So, hello everyone, it is Zeros here, and welcome to the second video of this channel. If you're a new viewer, welcome. This is a channel where for now, I just talk about whatever I want, whenever I want, experimenting and all that. So basically, right now, the value proposition is me. And for the returning viewers, aka probably my friends, hi, welcome. I promise what I'm not going to think at the top of my head now when I'm expressing my ideas, unlike the last video where I was like, so it seems like The Sims is going even more downhill than it already is, which is why I'm not done complaining about it like I thought I was. So according to Satch's recent video by the time I'm recording this about The Sims changing for the worse, The Sims is still not acknowledging literally the whole consumer base wanting a Sims 5. So Satch explains in this video that the obvious reason is Sims 4 is an outdated game, you know, with being developed in the early 2010s pretty much. It's foundation based, which got developed from 2013 and got released 2014, I'm pretty sure. And even back then, that base sucked and had no life to it. It was doomed from the very start, guys. And again, I am not a game developer or have any knowledge in that area, but you can tell from the very start of its release, The Sims 4 was buggy. And it still is very buggy. There was never a time where The Sims only had minimal bugs. Since they have numerous expansions that are worth more than most high-tech products, it's undeniable that one bug will lead to 4,000 other bugs. The game is overly crowded with expansions, game packs, stuff packs, and the most useless kits I've seen in my entire life. Yet it still doesn't add anything that will make the player want to play for more than 2 days. The reason why? Well, The Sims 4 had a horrible foundation from the very start compared to their previous predecessors like Sims 3 and Sims 2. There was nothing much Sims 4 offered rather than their whole phrase on weird Sims and weird stories. I'm pretty sure that was the selling point back then, which is very ironic because the previous Sims games, even Sims 1 presented that selling point way better than Sims 4 ever could. I'm sorry, the Sims and Sims 4, they're very, very NPC. There's no way that the traits can differentiate them enough. Unlike the Sims 2 and the Sims 3, where the Sims are very, very diverse in personality range. So now that we're into the 2020s, we finally have competitors for the Sims, like Enzo and Paralyzed. It's safe to say that Sims 4's already horrendous foundation has become very outdated, yet they're still adding packs and wanting this game to go on forever. Like I said in the previous video, EA loves beating a dead horse instead of putting in effort. But rest assured, because the Sims team is putting in some effort, I honestly did have a little hope that someday their minds will change and we'll get a Sims 5, since you can't have an outdated game to keep up with the new competitors that are coming through. The Sims never had a life simulation competitor until now, and although Enzo is kind of mid, they do present lots of new and fulfilling aspects that Simmers would always ask, like the open world aspect, creative style, color wheels. I low-key don't know what else they have other than super realism, which personally I'm not a fan of. I like some cartooniness or it'll feel uncanny for me. But yeah, this game is currently in beta still, so still crapping in many aspects. And such competition woke up EA to a degree to the point of making such a drastic change that is very beneficial for the whole franchise. Rebranding! Yeah, can you hear the sarcasm seeping through? So, I don't know what it is with EA rebranding The Sims 24/7 because this isn't the first time. So I get wanting to change the game aesthetics a little bit and the logo, but I honestly lost count how much they pulled this rebranding move, and I have no idea why they're doing it constantly. So Satch did mention specifically toward marketing students if too much rebranding is a negative thing. Well, as a marketing student myself here, who is about to graduate, a multinational IP that rebrands 24/7 shows brand inconsistency, which, believe me, is already so prevalent when it comes to The Sims. Though The Sims 4 already had a pretty minimalistic design in my opinion when it was first released, I did like the white modern background merged with the iconic blue and the iconic plum bob, but then I think maybe around 2019, The Sims had a huge rebrand with adapting to a dark blue background and a more updated plum bob, which I didn't mind, it did look good. But the thing I hated when this was released was the ugly choice of harsh color choices I would use when making a poster on Paint with Windows XP. So I didn't like how you could no longer differentiate the expansion pack colors easily on the menu screen since there were no longer different colors. It was replaced with a more teal color, and I ended up getting used to it, like the rebranding of course, until I found out another rebranding that happened earlier in the year, this year, specifically for the menu screen. And for some reason, we got Fortnite Battle Pass Sims 4 edition. So I honestly didn't get this change. Like, is Sims 4 trying to appeal to Fortnite players now? This actually looks hideous. No offense to Fortnite players, the screen even still looks like that for Fortnite still. But it honestly does not match The Sims at all. But this is my humble opinion, and probably, 95% of everyone else's opinions. But I won't get into too much complaining over that since that was the beginning of the year. That's so, that's already been discussed. The other rebranding earlier in the year with the plum bob was a nice touch. It gave nostalgia for the previous games, just the design being more shiny and I guess old school rather than being flat with different shades of green. The Sims 4 logo was also changed to a degree, which I don't really have a comment on. It still looks good, okay, but I got nothing much to add other than liking the plum bob design. So you'd think they'd give the rebranding a rest after all these changes, right? No. In less than 5 months, we have already gotten a tease on a whole new rebranding, and this is where I'm low-key concerned. This is how we know that EA doesn't care about The Sims 5 and never will. They'll just keep on milking The Sims 4's expired udders. So for some reason, The Sims are going to have a new logo, colors, and fonts again. Before I get to the main point with Sims 5 not happening, I do want to explain why such rebranding is just going to hurt The Sims. So the amount of times they have rebranded just shows they have no idea what they're doing. Instead of using their budget for worthwhile things like progressing into Sims 5 and making an actual good base game, they decided to do this. I don't think you need to be a marketing student also to understand how this is a bad thing, especially for a big IP. Rebranding this much in such little gaps isn't even that prevalent with smaller brands. It isn't even minimal changes, it's full-on rebranding. I don't get how you'd want your audience to resonate with you when each time your rebranding is looking like a whole new other game, like Fortnite. No one is asking for this either. To make matters worse, they're for some reason changing the packs logos for The Sims as if they belong in cinematic title screens. No other games are trying to differentiate the DLCs by bringing a try-hard DLC logo designs. Most games, try to differentiate the DLCs with actual new gameplay rather than 75% recycled content. And someone said EA should maybe focus on packs refresh rather than logo refreshes, which is so true. But then again, a pack refresh is going to break 50 other things in the game, knowing how poorly functional the game is currently. I also don't like how the Sims bit of the logo, the actual game you need for these DLCs, is so tiny compared to the big title. Design-wise, this is kind of silly. You would want your brand to be recognizable. This whole cinematic title screen font and size is not cutting it. No one can tell this is The Sims from first glance without seeing that tiny logo. Okay, now that I'm done complaining about the graphic design of this whole rebranding thing, I'm going to talk about the Sims 5 point that was previously mentioned. So Satch mentioned this also previously in his video that these logo name teasers can indicate that Sims 5 is not going to happen. If you can see, there is no 4 in any of these logos, just The Sims. At first, you can think that maybe this is just a general umbrella logo for all Sims projects created, even outside the main Sims games. But then you see that in the movie titles, that's what I'm gonna call them now, this little Sims logo above has no 4 after either. So does this mean they're just going to fully change the Sims 4 logo to just The Sims, indicating that that will be the main Sims game forever and ever? I hope to God not, but it's going to have to take a miracle and a whole new game company that isn't EA to tell me otherwise. It's just upsetting how old The Sims is now and how Sims 4 downgraded with almost everything. The long time begging of simple functions like creative style and color wheels can still not be adapted into the game, not even Sims with actual personalities and stuff like open world. I know things like that requires a whole different coding from the very start, obviously, but can you at least not add features like color wheels in? This is what I mean. The Sims 4 was doomed from the start. Instead of taking all the feedback that cannot be adapted into The Sims 4 and considering all of it for The Sims 5 instead, The Sims is still having a rebranding crisis for God knows what reason. You don't need to refresh your brand appearance 24/7. It isn't going to make your brand image better. I also don't understand why we can't have those features even in The Sims 4, because somehow you could code in infants almost a decade later, or maybe that's just less complex in the game coding. Again, I'm not an expertise in the game developing area. All I know with this rebranding news is that Sims 5 is probably not ever going to come. The Sims 4 demise might just go about the same way like The Sims City, with new competitors coming and The Sims not doing anything about upgrading from their broken outdated base into a newer, more optimized game. They're still going to create more hanging wires for The Sims 4. So anyways, that's my rant. I don't know if at this point my whole channel is going to be on ranting about The Sims. Again, I'm still experimenting, but if you'd like to hear my perspective and yapping about various topics and just enjoy how I explain things, be sure to hit that like button, comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you get notifications for all my videos. Bye guys!